Welcome back. You're still watching Morning at NTV. I'm Arnold Sagawa. Let's move on to the story that has ravaged the country from the weekend till now. Makerere University, the Ivory Tower, being burnt. Arson, fire, whatever you want to call it. To just touch more on this particular conversation, we have the Guild President of the university. That's Julius Katerega. Julius, thanks for making time to speak to us.
Yes, good morning, Sego.
How's it been? Well, it's been a tough year for you. Besides, before the fire, the COVID-19, the university, it's been a tough term as a guild president, I would say.
Yeah.
Great. Just to touch more on the Ivory Tower. Away from the speculation, I understand there's been a history of some fires at this particular building over the past 5 years. What do you make of this particular one at this particular juncture?
This particular fire, we've tasked the powers that be to explain, but it is unbecoming that for an institution like Makerere and a building, because that is our signature building for starters. We thought that there would be measures because we've moved around other buildings and say they have fire sensors when smoke starts, and unfortunately that was not the case for the main building. We are still very hurt as the general Makerere community outside the students, but also the alumni, because this particular building means a lot to everyone who has gone through this great institution. We do not want to go into speculations. We've given the authorities that be their time to get to the bottom of this, but we hope they really do their part, because if they do not on this particular one, I don't think we are going to take it lightly as a university community. At least we have a history of not settling until we've gotten answers wherever we request or ask for them.
In the past, I wouldn't say that the authorities in question have been very forthcoming when it comes to such investigations as it stands. I understand 2 people have been arrested as per yesterday. I think security guards in that vicinity. But you raise a very interesting point, which is around how does the signature building of a university not have, let's say, smoke detectors, or I don't want to go with fire extinguishers, but smoke detectors for a building that's significant. If you mention Makerere University, only one thing comes to mind, which is the Ivory Tower. Is this an issue of negligence?
Very many things have been put forward, and we cannot put negligence out of the way. We think and feel that we are looking at all the possible avenues. It may have been, this particular fire may have come as a result of negligence itself. It may have been intended by people as it looks, and it may have been an accident. We are looking at all these possible avenues, but we are very interested in the answers from the authorities that be. Well, just yesterday I was talking to the police, to the police personnel on ground, because you realize that Sunday evening the University Council burnt again, because when we go to the news at around 1 in the morning, I think I was at the scene by around 4, because we couldn't catch sleep. For a person who has been sitting there, then in the night they tell you that say that the University Council has caught fire again. For people who were there during the day, we saw much as the fire brigade had failed on its work, because I honestly feel as an individual they have not built capacity in this particular lane to deal with fires, because when we saw it from one, we were following on NTV pages and other pages what was happening. We thought that if they had swung in action on time, they would save the rest of the building. That was not the case. But our concern, even after putting out the fire, midway at around 9 in the night on Sunday, when we thought they had contained it, the University Council room also got fire again.
Well, no, this is interesting because just yesterday you were actually on here on NTV and well, for a short interview, and you alluded to something around the lines of the East Wing. I think that's where the fire started.
Yeah.
And at some point, the Minister of Education showed up, and then you allude to the fact that her security personnel had to halt the fire brigade personnel from doing what they were doing. For her to actually inspect the premises and the Ivory Tower as it was, and they did not resume after she left.
After she left, yes.
Right. This is something that you alluded to, and you said you saw this firsthand.
Yes, as an eyewitness, because I told you I was already at the scene. I think by 4 or 4:30 in the morning on Sunday, I was there. So the time she came, I was on the sides. I observed what the SFC did. They stopped these guys for their own security reasons. And when she left, it didn't go on. I personally felt like this is why the fire had to continue in the night. I felt like the firemen had not concluded their work. And this all brings out the aspect of negligence now on how to handle the fire even after it had broken. I mean, it had started. I personally felt like after the initial damage, we could have contained and prevented, say, the University Council from burning. Us who have had a privilege to go and sit in the University Council, hold it very dear, know how important it is. All decisions for the university are made there. Actually, I would say every room or office on that great building has had a great history. So we thought the people that came about to save the situation would have this in mind. I was so hurt because I was observing this, and that is how I felt like when fire came back at 9. This rang into my mind. I was like, perhaps this may have been, maybe these people didn't conclude because they were visibly still continuing, and they were putting a lot of water in that particular place because the council room is entirely wooden from the top to the base. So I think they had noticed this, and they were applying a lot of water. So I think fire was not completely put out as a result of the coming of the minister, and it may have led to the second incident of fire.
Right, Julius, earlier on I did start with a question around, it's been a tough year, and obviously it has been, given the fact that there's no students on campus right now, at least for the most part, and, well, the ones who are about to return are the finalists. Am I safe to assume that this situation wouldn't be this dire if the campus was actually populated?
Of course.
As a student leader, just talking about that.
As a student of the university, knowing how much we hold this particular building, and knowing how we operate as students of Makerere, I just yesterday we were talking to ourselves, and we thought that maybe if we were on campus, we could have helped the firemen, because I want to anticipate that this would have caused an alarm, so everyone would have come to the rescue on time. I felt like if the university students, or if the university was operational, perhaps this particular accident would not have been this detrimental.
If we're to touch more on that particular issue of students being 2017, there was a bit of a recurrence. There was another fire still on the main building. Would the fact that what stopped the fire then on time as opposed to this particular case? You were on campus still.
Yes, I was on campus. But from the information we had gathered is that the firemen responded on time then, and yeah, they rescued the situation.
Right, but now as a student leader, what is the way forward? Because this has happened before, 3 years ago, it has happened now. What would be the way forward for you and your legacy as an outgoing guild president? Is this something that you want to tackle, and if so, how would you tackle it, or is it done and dusted and there will always be fires in and around the same vicinity of the main building?
When we came in, we made it clear that we want to leave a better university in every other aspect, from the way students carry themselves and from the way we do things. We are waiting for the university to put out a program on how this particular building is going to be brought back to life again, and we do our part. That is for the side of giving life to the Ivory Tower again. But going forward, we've suggested, and we think the university will adopt the idea of putting fire detectors on all the buildings around the university, because if that was the case, if smoke detectors were working in the main building, because I've seen them there, I think they were just faulty. It may. So
the building actually has smoke detectors.
Yes, it had smoke detectors. It may save the situation more going forward, but also we want to see. I do not think we've suggested to them that going forward we may need to revise the physical plan of the university to make sure that in such situations, water can be easily accessed from the university, because much as water was there, firemen could not, get it from within the university. They had to get out. So it also did a bigger damage in.
But when you say you are waiting for the university to put out the plan, and then you see how you can support them, I get the sense that that is reactionary. In this particular time and frame that you are in right now, where the management of a university has the nerve to install smoke detectors and then they do not work, and there was a fire in 2017 in the same building, honestly, you waiting for them to do something is just reacting. You're playing second fiddle. You're being secondary. As a student leader, give me a preemptive strike. Give me something that you can do right now to make sure this does not become a recurring theme, like the fires at Owino St. Balikudembe Market.
I've told you what we've suggested.
Having water on site and hydrants.
Yes, yes, in site, but also making sure that they constantly check and install more smoke and fire detectors around the university. University has a policy system. Unfortunately, it has a structure. It is very structured. Much as sometimes as individuals, it is very bureaucratic. As individuals, you may want to do things, but there is a certain standard or quality, or there is a way things are done in Makerere University.
Does that make you a ceremonial leader?
I'm not a ceremonial leader, because if that was, say, if it was on the side of, if it was us on the side of the students, we would be taking action. But this is corrective. Everyone has to. We have to wait for the government. The estates has to make assessments to see whether this building has to be rebuilt. Say, can it be rebuilt from from
the
the fire,
cracks in
yes,
the
from the
pillars.
cracks what is going to be lost in terms of what is going to be brought down. Do they have to bring back, do they have to break down the entire building? These assessments that have to be done by the estates department of the university. So we cannot say, I will be misleading the country and students if I said we are going to be collecting money today to make sure that we raise money, say, to refurbish the main building and something like that. We need to first understand what is in plan. Say if they are going to rebuild, to demolish and rebuild a new building, they are going to give reasons for that. If they say, for example, that maybe we are starting from the base or from the first floor because they were not so affected going up, then that will inform what we are going to do. So we do not want to speculate and mislead people and find out that the technical people in the university and other people that have joined them in this time are suggesting otherwise.
If a plan came out and the cost of reconstructing, because it's north of 10 billion as per one independent architect that we spoke to, the other estimate that came from the Vice Chancellor is close to 15 billion, right? So in the ballpark of 10 to 15 billion Uganda shillings. If that cost was pushed onto the students, what would the student leadership have to say to this matter?
It cannot be pushed to the
Hypothetically.
Students. I want to make it clear to them, and they should know. They cannot push it to the students. We know for a fact we've had disagreements with them before. You remember in October and November when they were making it an issue for students that we were supposed to foot the entire
functional fees?
Yes, I know that when they were making education more expensive, we made it clear to them that it is also a responsibility of the state. We understand the importance of this particular building. So when plans come out, of course we want to participate in it. As a guild president, we've already, within our circles, I've already reached out to former guild presidents, people like, we've not reached Governor Mtebila, have reached out to people like Mzee Matthew Ruchikere, Professor Nyang Nyong, and others about the same. And we are waiting for what the university is going to propose to see that we work together to cause our colleagues from time to time to come together and help the university. But we want to make it clear to the government that we expect it to help the university in bringing back this particular building.
But not necessarily pushing the bill, spread it to the
students. It is unacceptable, and we shall, I do not think they can do that, given the current circumstances, where we are also considering to push the cost of education itself back to the government because of the effects of COVID-19. You cannot tell us to do this. That would be secondary. And
I think we need to look out for the silver lining here, which is the fact that much as the fire happened, it happened at a time when there are no students, let alone the university is working on a skeleton kind of human resource arrangement, because of COVID-19. There's very, very few people at the university at this particular time. So I think that is the silver lining. But going forward, talk to me about your particular plans, if any, that is, to make sure that the halls, do the Lumumbas of this world have fire detectors, smoke detectors? Africa, there's some buildings, you can walk into a hall and all you see are dormitories, not dormitories, but bunk beds and mattresses. Give me a sense of, are you moving on this particular letter onto the next step, which is making sure that the halls, all the other buildings, let alone the new ones, because I know the new ones definitely would have, I think for me that's the next step. As
Yeah.
opposed to us talking about the Ivory Tower, that is done. Next step.
Of course, particularly for in 2018, Mary Stewart got a fire, and
Did it have the smoke detectors that don't work too?
no, but it was detected on time, and they contained it. We put it. I've made it clear to you that, for example, as the Students Guild, we would be willing, for example, to purchase, if it was within our budget, to purchase these for students' units. Unfortunately, that is not how the university works. So you just have to put in suggestions and requisitions through policies or committees of the university, like the Students' Affairs. We've put this forward, and yeah, a few halls. I think Africa Hall has installed and functional smoke detectors. We've got an assurance that that is going to be done everywhere before students return on campus because of what just happened. Just to ensure.
Just to pause you there. Now, for the case of Africa, is that Africa's student body that installed those, or it was still the university?
It was the university. The
But
university installed everywhere. Now, midway, I think because of time and everything, you would find that one or two are faulty in particular places. So they have assured us that they're going to revisit to check them. This serves as a lesson for all of us. You will also agree that you were shocked. No one saw this coming. So they have now gone back to this. We have also advised that the university should develop a policy regarding the handling of such emergencies, say fires and other accidents. What needs to be done? What does the university need to have in plan? What does it have to have on ground to deal with such incidents going forward? And I'm very optimistic that they're going to consider it.
Any final remarks?
As I conclude, I want to thank the nation for standing with us in this trying moment, and to the students out there. The universities and the authorities, the government and the universities have made it clear that we are returning. I think on around the 3rd for medical students and other finalists, then 15th for other students. However, we want to task the authorities, that be that we are just coming out of lockdown. Our parents really don't have money. We who pay for ourselves have also been overspent, not only in Makerere but everywhere. So we expect the authorities that be to understand the economic status of Ugandans in this particular time. So as we go back to school, we expect you to be extra considerate. If need be, we would like the government to come through and help where it can, because students have been requested to get gadgets. Not everyone has capacity, but that is the way to go. So we want to see. Just yesterday we were questioning the intentions, because these things were supposed to reflect in the budget of the Ministry of Education. Upon realizing what had happened, unfortunately it didn't reflect. So we are requesting them to give us a comprehensive plan, or now they have planned for the reopening of schools and universities, given that it was an emergency. It is equally their responsibility, much as it is our responsibility as citizens, to see that education goes on, and it goes on to serve a purpose, not to go on as a process. Thank you.
Julius, thanks for making time to speak to us. Julius Katerega, who is the Guild President of Makerere University. That's where we leave it for this edition of Morning at NTV. I'll be back at 1 p.m. with the NTV at 1 from us. Have a good morning.